What up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Back with another video, man. Listen, today I want to talk about the 3 biggest misconceptions pertaining to the trucking industry and truck drivers. And this is really just based on what I see and hear within the trucking community and outside of the trucking community. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But let's go ahead and dive into it, man. So the first biggest misconception has to be that trucking is dead. And this is something that I've talked about in previous videos. And I would just say this. If you are somebody who believes that trucking is dead, I encourage you to talk to truck drivers in the industry that are doing various jobs. Not just one truck driver that's doing one thing in the industry, but talk to a multitude of truck drivers. Have that conversation with them. Ask them about the trucking industry. Ask them about the income that they're making. Ask them about just the whole condition of the trucking industry. And I'm willing to bet that after you have those type of conversations with a variety of different truck drivers doing different things, I believe you'll come to the conclusion that the trucking industry isn't dead. Because, again, in my personal opinion, I just think that's absolutely false. You know, I'm tapped into truck drivers doing a variety of different things in the industry, and they're doing pretty good, to say the least. So, for that first one, I won't go into too much depth talking about whether or not trucking is dead. I'll let you do your own due diligence, do your own research on it, and you come up with your own conclusion at the end of the day. But again, I just think that if you talk to enough truck drivers, you'll come to the realization that that's false. So that's all I got to say about that one. The second biggest misconception is that truck drivers just drive across the country. All truck drivers do is just drive across the country and they're never home, right? That's false. That's completely false. But here's the thing. If you talk to the average person on the street, a person that's outside of the trucking industry that has no clue about what goes on in trucking, if you were to ask them about truck drivers and what they think truck drivers do, they'll probably tell you that's all they do is just drive around and they're never home. That's what the average person will tell you. My wife was that way, right? Before, we really progressed in our relationship. A truck driver was somebody who she felt like, she wouldn't give it the opportunity to in terms of dating, because she didn't want nobody that was away from home, for long periods of time and things of that nature. It's similar to somebody who's in the military, right? You have military wives, you have military husbands. And, when you're in those type of relationships where you have a spouse or a girlfriend or boyfriend or what have you that goes away for a period of time, that can be difficult for a lot of people. So, people don't sign up for it. And it's the same thing with certain jobs out there that may be considered dangerous jobs, like law enforcement, for example. Some people won't date somebody that's in law enforcement just due to how risky that job is. And, they just don't want to deal with that type of situation. So I get it. And so that's what a lot of people think about truck drivers, but the reality is that not all truck drivers drive all across the country. Not all truck drivers are away from home for weeks at a time. And a lot of people just don't know that. They're just unaware. Somebody literally, and this is a true story, I made a video recently about new CDL drivers and should they get a Class A license or a Class B license. And somebody commented on that video yesterday, and this person said, get a Class A license if you don't have any kids and you want to see the country and you don't care about being away from home. Get a Class B license if you want to be around your family and you want to be home every night. That's what this person said. So their idea of a truck driver, specifically a Class A truck driver, is somebody who's just away from home. And so a lot of people feel that way. They just don't understand how trucking really works. And we all know as truck drivers that that's just not the case. That's just not what it is. And I actually had to explain to that person, like, that's not true. There are a lot of Class A drivers who are home every night. It just depends on the job that you have in trucking. And, that's the message that I always try to convey to people. And I try to educate them on the different trucking jobs out there. Are there trucking jobs out there that will require you to be gone for, long periods of time? Of course. But the reality is there are trucking jobs out there where you can be home every night. So that's just what it is. But that's a bit misconception. So that would be my second one. The third misconception, and this is last but not least, the third biggest misconception that I hear is that truck drivers don't make any money. And I don't know about you guys, but, I watch a lot of content on YouTube, a lot of videos related to relationships and things of that nature. I find it entertaining with a lot of these podcasts nowadays when I hear, a lot of women, not all women, but when I hear a lot of women talk about their criteria, I should say, and what they look for in a man, different things like that. Obviously, a lot of them, they want you to be, over 6 feet. A lot of them want you to make 6 figures. And, they have all these different requirements, right? A lot of them are unrealistic, in my opinion. And a lot of them, to me, and this is just my opinion, I think it's kind of silly, to be honest. And I also think with some of these requirements, and this goes for men and women, because men can have some outlandish requirements too. And I'm just getting off topic a little bit with this whole dating thing because I just find it so interesting. But men and women both can have some outlandish requirements, but when it comes to trucking, and this is something that I've heard on, a few different podcasts, when you have eligible bachelors, I should say, looking for relationships, looking for a partner, and when they get asked what they do for a living, I've seen some truck drivers on there, and as soon as they say truck driver, the women just like, oh no. It's either you don't make enough money or you're gone all the time. So, and I remember there was one person, and this person was like, I make 6 figures. So, here's the thing. There are a lot of truck drivers out there that make 6 figures, more than 6 figures. But the average person on the outside don't know that. They don't know that, there are some trucking jobs out there that pay pretty good. And I guess it's just the fact that it's trucking, people just don't really look at trucking like that. And so it's kind of hard to fathom, I guess, for some people. But, you know, you can do pretty well in the trucking industry. That's, whether you're a company driver or an owner operator, you could do pretty well, man. You know, there are a lot of opportunities out there within the industry, depending on the job that you have, the location, where you live is definitely going to play a factor in that. But listen, get all your credentials in terms of your endorsements. Make yourself more valuable to the marketplace is what I always say, and I'm going to keep saying that. And the more qualified you are, the more opportunities you're going to have at better paying jobs. And so, listen, if you're interested in getting in trucking, don't listen to the naysayers. Pursue trucking if that's what you want to do. I'm telling you, there are a lot of successful truck drivers. There are a lot of truck drivers, former and current, who have had bad experiences in trucking. Some of them tapped out, crashed out, and some of them are still in the industry and are doing well. Some people are in the industry and still, having some challenges. It is what it is, man. Trucking is obviously not for everybody. Some people get into trucking with certain expectations that may be a little bit too high. And they expect a little bit too much as a new CDL driver. So I would definitely say you got to have patience in this industry and you got to put your time in. That's probably going to be the case for most people, because when it comes to trucking, experience matters. So, unfortunately, nowadays in the trucking community, or I say in the trucking community, nowadays in the trucking industry, with the economy being like it is, the trucking industry, while there's still a lot of opportunities out there, it's still not in the best shape that it could be, right? There's still some issues within the industry. You still have companies going out of business. You still have companies laying off truck drivers. So those type of things are still going on. Doesn't mean that the trucking industry is dead, but the trucking industry definitely have its issues. So again, doing your due diligence, doing your research is going to be imperative, man. It's critical that you guys do your research before getting into this industry, and also do your research before leaving one job and going to the next job. The grass isn't always green on the other side. So, you got to know what you're getting yourself into. You could be leaving one problem and going to a bigger problem. So, you definitely don't want to do that. So, make sure you really understand the moves you're making when you're making your moves. And be smart, man. Be smart, be strategic about the direction you choose to go in when you leave one job and go to the next. Because sometimes it don't always pan out like you think. And you could be going into a much worse situation that you were in. So, yeah, I just got to put that out there, because a lot of people have done it and had to double back. And some people leave on bad terms, and they're not able to double back. So, I think it's a good idea to leave on good terms, particularly if you are leaving a company that treated you well, that treated you fairly. Put in your 2 weeks. I think that's, a professional way to handle that situation. Now, if the company chooses to say, you know what, don't worry about putting in your 2 weeks, you can go ahead and leave now, then at least you went about it the right way. That's just how I feel about it. Maybe a 2 weeks notice isn't necessary for certain situations. I can understand that as well. I don't think a 2 weeks notice is necessary for every situation, because some people get into situations that are really bad, and you got to do what you got to do in those type of situations. So I don't condone anybody staying in a situation that is terrible. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But if a company has treated you fairly, I would say, do the right thing, which is putting in your 2 weeks notice. Again, you have some companies nowadays that if you put your 2 weeks notice in, for whatever reason, they'll just go ahead and tell you, you can go ahead and make this your last day. That's what it is. So you just got to respect it and keep moving. But yeah, man, that's what I want to say on that, man. Those are my 3 biggest misconceptions. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think. What are some misconceptions that you've heard? Drop it in the comments below. Look, man, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. Until the next video, I'll see you later. Peace.